Well, I mean, like the gender journey is a confusing one because it's not something as tangible as like sexuality, where you find yourself attracted to certain groups or certain genders, and there's labels for it, and it's more definitive than I'd say gender, at least I found personally. Gender is a very personal thing, I think, for a lot of people. And I think for me, especially, in recent years, especially during lockdown, I think that's when my gender journey really started. I kind of have felt non-binary my whole life though. Since I was a kid, I didn't really feel like a girl. All those Macca's toys that were very like boys and girls, and like you're like, but I want the boys one, but you can't have the boy one because you're a girl, and it's like, why? I just want the boys Macca's toys. So yeah, I think I questioned gender roles quite early on in my life, and I think during lockdown, it's when I started consuming a lot of content, reading a lot of things, watching a lot of like shows and documentaries exploring gender. And just a fun and quirky shout out to Heartbreak High because that was so slay. And yeah, I learned a lot about my own personal like gender journey through like silly shows like that. Yeah.
That gender journey, even though you were watching these shows and things, that was there, right? It was already in you.
Yeah, and like sex education and like just silly little shows that I like found myself really identifying with and being like, oh, like if I could relive high school in an environment where it was much more open to these things, or even in these shows, like the school wasn't super open, but the people were, like the community around that character was. And I think like that was so like inspirational to me, but I also couldn't help but feel some kind of like envy for these fictional characters because I'm like, damn, I wish that was me.
So what was it like in reality then?
In reality, I was very conformative to a more femme-presenting kind of, like my gender roles, right? I was very conformed to my gender roles. We had very like strict uniform rules as a private school, and like I would feel the urge to wear like the boys' uniform. I wouldn't like exactly feel comfortable in a dress or in a skirt some days, but in other days I would. And I never really got that flexibility to explore that kind of thing. So yeah, I went to like a Christian private school and it was very...
Christian and private.
Yeah, very Christian, very private. And yeah, just like very little room to explore that kind of thing.
How old are you?
I'm 21.
21.
Yeah.
So let's bring it to closer to the present now. So what has that looked like for you where you're at today?
Where I'm at today, I think I couldn't be here without a lot of my community. A lot of friends that I met post high school were like so open about pronouns, very like open to discussing them, very open to share them. We had so many deep discussions about them, and like our gender journey was something we shared together. And that was so important to me as someone who was trying to discover it, like as someone who is an Asian Australian, like never talking about it with family. Finding another family to talk about these things with was so important for me. And like the older I get, the more people I am finding within my community, even today, just meeting so many wonderful people, hearing about their journeys, like it's so important. And as a journalism major, really enjoying like listening to people's stories and just like being open to listening rather than like coming into a conversation ready to defend yourself, entering a conversation and wanting to create more intimacy with the other person, I think is really important.
What does it mean to have an organisation like this in Australia for the community?
For the community. So I know a lot of trans people who are asylum seekers who are unwaged and Me personally, being a uni student, not exactly being having access to the most affordable of services. So I think in order to know that there is people who care, and knowing that there's an organization, a group of people who are trying their best to help is so important, because even knowing that these groups are out there is life-changing. Knowing that there is support and the world just isn't all out to get you, especially these fundamental structural organizations that don't recognize a lot of gender affirming surgeries as medically necessary. Just having people who say, hey, it does matter and we want to help you is so important. It's affirming, and also I guess heartwarming to know that people care. I think that's the ultimate message that I think is really important as well.